Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and welcome back to my meadow. Can you believe that it's December already? I am having a hard time fathoming that, but that means it is time for another monthly garden tour. We don't have nearly the things growing yet here in the garden that I thought I would, so today I'll take advantage of the opportunity to show you some of the changes that we've made and talk just a little bit about the changes I'll be making in 2023 to my Northeast Florida garden. Come join me around the meadow, won't you? We can start by taking a look at Orchard Row. All across the back property line here, I have everything from mulberry to tangerine to Myers lemon, even some blueberries. And everything is kind of where it should be for this time of year. I see that the Myers lemons have some blooms. I see that I have a tangerine that needs to be harvested. But one of the goals for this area next year is to begin putting each of these trees in their own raised garden bed. The ground out in the back is very dense and clay, and if I fill a hole with water, it does not drain within 24 hours, let alone within an hour. So in order for me to make the most of this Orchard Row, I want to lift them up a little bit, but give them more space to grow than they currently have with their containers. And so instead of investing in bigger pots and bigger pots, I'm going to invest in some garden beds to put around each of the trees. For the blueberries, I may put a double-sized bed in or something like that. But if you have some suggestions about how I should configure them, or if I should go all round, or if I should do some long and some round, I would certainly welcome that in the comments below. To the left of Orchard Row, this is the wildflower area. So I have taken all of the vines that I have been using to clean up, and I am beginning to mulch them there. Then, when the yard guy comes by with his tractor, I am having him mow those down so they can compost in place. In the last garden video, I showed you these rather phallic-looking fungi. I have since found out they are called stinkhorn, and part of the reason they stink is to attract flies and bugs that pick up their spores and spread them. And they call them stinkhorn for a reason, because I tell you, they do stink. If the wind blows in just the wrong direction, we can smell them all the way up to the patio. Here in the Vigo raised garden bed, I still have peppers on. I have some Thai eggplant. We've just had weird weather and the plants didn't die back yet. I've left them on to continue growing at least until our first freeze. And I am going to see if I can overwinter them. Time will tell if I am successful with this. In the Birdies raised garden beds, I have sweet potatoes, and I went through and I cut back all of the vines just as a matter of cleaning things up. But I can see now I'm already getting some fresh growth, and I'm okay with that. A couple of eggplants still hanging in there. I've done a good bit of cleanup, including the tomatillo bed here. The only thing really left that's producing is I do have one ginger that's popped up right there. If I recall, that is a Thai ginger or galangal under the ground. The stun bed and the volunteer beans are really doing their thing. In fact, I have been getting tomatoes out of the stun bed. If you look down there, there's some more yellow tomatoes hanging out in there. Some more green ones down here. So it's kind of nice. I think I have now officially had more tomatoes in this winter crop than I did the whole spring and summer. And so that makes me really happy that I didn't just go ahead and yank these out. Now, I would be remiss if I did not show you the moringa. Look at here. It is growing right along and really just taken off. I'm glad we've had some nice warm weather for it to get established. I dug up volunteer sweet potatoes over here a couple of months ago, but I noticed a couple of weeks back I have a regular potato coming up down there. So maybe I'll get another handful of potatoes. Wouldn't that be lovely this odd time of year for a potato that got left in the ground? The motherland okra still has a few pods on. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it back and see if we get any more before it gets really cold here. Whatever really cold is in Florida. I know someone on another channel said it was 12 there. It never gets 12 here, or it rarely gets 12 here. So we have finally picked all of the persimmons, and they have been so delicious, and it has been so lovely to enjoy and share. We had the Fuyu variety, and we cut them while they were still a little bit crisp. We'd leave them on the counter for a few days. They were not astringent. They were absolutely delicious. We learned that if we let them get nice and orange without getting soft, we really get a much better tasting persimmon. So that's the advice that I can give you. If you are growing persimmons, or you're in an area where you can grow persimmons, do that, but make sure you know what variety you have. This should tell you what kind of crazy weather we are having, because it is December when I'm recording this. We have not had our cold weather really yet, and the nectarine tree, or peach tree, I always forget what it is breaking blooms. It is breaking blooms already. Wow. Normally here I would show you a great big trellis with the Asian wing beans, but I have gone ahead and cut them back and taken down the trellis. What I did not do, with the exception of one for the last video, is I did not pull the tubers out of the ground. Last year they re-sprouted, so we're gonna see if they will come back a second year here in my Northeast Florida garden. I'm kind of excited for this experiment. Because we haven't had any cold weather, the salvia is just continuing to thrive. It has been so lovely. Yes, it's December and I still have my Thanksgiving pumpkin, one left with a hay bale, up here in the pollinator garden. But look what happened. Look right here. That, my friends, is pumpkin. So I might, just for fun, see if I can protect that if it gets cold, and see if I get a really head start on pumpkins this year, and just let them sort of take over some in this pollinator garden and act as a bit of weed barrier while these other wildflowers and natives grow. On the south side of the garden, this is all sort of waiting. We've got a few tomatoes that are still putting on there. It's time for me to cut back the comfrey and actually plant some more. And I am going to turn this side along with the north side of the house, the beds right against the house. I am going to turn those into comfrey beds and just grow comfrey in there for the fertilizer, for the medicinal benefits, as well as a pollinator option. And look, there are tomatoes down in the comfrey all growing in there together. I guess this is another example of stun, simple, total, utter neglect. I've just let these vines go where they will, and they're giving me tomatoes. I think that the bananas are really getting to where we want them to be for harvesting. This bunch and this bunch here too. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this, but if not, voila la! The Truly Tinies have bloomed, and it looks like we're gonna have a few bananas out of here. It does not look like they're going to be very many, but I will take it because it's the very first ones, and I am pretty excited. All things considered, the bananas are still looking pretty good, though they are slightly weather beaten. Well, maybe more than slightly. But we're continuing to see new growth in there, and one of the things that I am going to be doing next year is I'm going to make sure that I am pruning back the banana plants, because I don't want to have too many at one time, because then the mother plant can't make bananas, it only makes babies. For some of you who have been around since the beginning, you may recognize this, my Subpod. I really haven't done another video about it because I screwed up and there wasn't anything to tell. I got super excited. I put way too much stuff in there too soon, and it got overheated and I lost all of my worms. So I've just let that sit because I couldn't manage that with everything else going on like I thought I would be able to. That's not a reflection on the Subpod. That's a reflection on my own personal compost management. But what I've decided I'm going to do is move this Subpod to the center of the bed. I'm going to take out this fence and I am going to turn this into a composting bed. I already have some garlic that's growing here on the sides. I'm going to plant out some onions as well, and we're going to let this be my composting bed with that in the middle. I think that's going to give it a much better chance to not be quite as hot. It'll be in the middle. The worms can come in and out and go around the bed, and I can still grow some delicious food at the same time. The reason I chose this location for the bin is because it's right off the back porch, and I just knew it would be really simple for me to run out and drop things in, and it was. The problem is I just dropped in too much too soon. So I have new worms on the way. Thank you, Plant Obsessed, for recommending Mimi's worms. I have some coming from Mimi's. I'm going to move the bed around and put them in the middle, and while the weather's cool, let them get established. Last time I started right at the end of spring, beginning of summer, and I think all my exuberance just was too much. So fingers crossed, and if you have any tips on that, I would welcome them. Now, the other thing we have growing on here is more okra. This okra plant was planted in August of 2021, and I cut it back last year and broke it off last year, and we have eaten off of it and eaten off of it, and I've been neglectful and trying to save the seeds, but it keeps sprouting new limbs and putting on fresh okra. And so I'm going to cut it back soon and just see if we can let it keep on growing into the next year. Over to the left, I have some more galangal or Thai ginger going as well. The Cataly guava is really beginning to spring back already, even though we're going into winter. Let's not even talk about the Biden's alba, though it does make me happy to see pollinators on it today, because this time of year there's a limited amount of food for the pollinators, so I'm glad that I can help out. Everything on Nursery Row is continuing to do just fine. We've got the pineapple guava on each end. I have a papaya tree there, and with all this warm weather, the passion fruit has just gone to town. Sometimes it's the small things that make us happy, or at least make me happy. I finally have a rain gauge in the garden. I am very excited about that, and so I can't wait now for a rain so I can come out and see how much rain we got. I talked about the warm weather. It's been so warm that instead of being dormant, the dragon fruit is putting on new growth. This is Moose. Many of you have met Moose. Usually he's running around behind me in the videos. He has decided he really likes the warmth of the grill and has made laying on the grill his new favorite pastime. Feel free to say hey to Moose. In our other green stalk, we still have basil going, and all of the cilantro that went to seed last year, I kept throwing into different pockets, and now I have about 5 or 6 pockets of cilantro that is simply from seeded cilantro off of my plant. Now, I told you I would tell you about some of the plans, and I've been doing that as I've walked around. But one of the things that we want to do, and I don't think we're going to be able to do it this year, I think we'll have to do it next year, is we are going to move the avocado tree. We have decided that even though right here is a really good place for it, it just doesn't make good sense now with the garden beds there. The other option is to move the garden beds, except that I want to run them all the way down. So if you have any tips or tricks about moving an established tree, I would be most grateful for that. One of the things I've noticed, and the reason I don't want to move it now, is it's flowering. It has new buds on it. And while I am not a super experienced gardener, it seems to me that this would not be the right time to move it. The right time should probably be after you have finished harvesting everything. And so since I did not get that done, we are not going to move it just yet. One of the other decisions I'm going to make is on this Forever Garden bed. I am testing it. I did receive that for free and I am putting it through some tests. I am thinking about changing the configuration of the bed. I have 2 of them, so possibly taking this and one other and using it for the orchard row in the back. And that way here I have tall beds. The other option would be to move it back up to the front where the motherland okra is and possibly replace that bed with the Forever Garden bed and maybe start the lower height beds down here and work them back down the line. The other change that's coming in 2023 is I am going to cardboard all of this over and then mulch it in and start preparing for additional garden beds on this side of the house as well. Thank you for joining me in the meadow today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to know more about what's coming in our Northeast Florida Zone 9A garden. One other reason to subscribe is that when I hit 2,500 subscribers, I am going to go live and I am going to have a giveaway. And so far we have $400 worth of prizes and things we'll be giving away during the live broadcast. So you will need to be live in order to win. And I'll make sure you know in advance when it's going to be because I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to join us. Until next time, my friends, remember to wear that high quality sunscreen, drink plenty of water, and as always, have a fantastic day.